Welcome again to everyone who's come so far. This is the first of a series. This was all Suzanne's idea. Suzanne has all these amazing ideas, and we go, oh no, no, and then she says, "Wow, I'm kind of overworked." I'm going, "Hey, it's your idea." I just say yes. Yeah. So this was the first of a monthly series. We're going to give it a try anyway. Of the drum readings, and I'm creating a deck of cards, and this is the first two cards. This is a paper prototype of the cards that are being printed, and so Suzanne's drum there. No, Suzanne's drum is and my drum are the first two drums that we'll talk about today because I don't have my cards ready. So by the next meeting, I'll have my cards ready, and then we can pull a card for Mayanna and pull a card for Christiana and then pull a card for Susan and then see what card comes up to have a message for you because there's a lot of spiritual symbolism and messages on every single drum. Now Suzanne mentioned that we would talk about the creation process. And there, a lot of people have asked me to teach the drum making, and I said only if you want to do it from scratch, and that means the whole process of picking the hide, what thickness of the hide, the age of the hide, what type of hide, and then tuning into that person that you're making the drum for and know what frequency sound that is required for their drum. Is it a high pitched sound or medium pitched sound or a low pitched sound, which comes from a different age of the hide or a different placing on the hide? That's all part of the creation process. And then tuning into that person's energy field, which contains all of their ancestors and their spirit guides. And so the spirit guides and the ancestors, I say to the person, don't tell me anything about you. Let me talk to your guides and ancestors and let them tell me about you. And then I will share what they tell me, and you tell me if it's true or not. And it always is because, they always say, nobody knew that. I said, your ancestors knew that. And, I've never told anybody that. I said, well, your ancestors know everything and they're telling me all your secrets. So we co-create together of what secrets come to the surface and what needs to be on the drum. Not that I feel needs to be on the drum, but not what the client wants on the drum. And if they say, I want this on the drum, I said, well, I have to check with your ancestors to see if they approve that or not, because they're the ones who make the decisions on what symbolism and teachings are going to be on the drum. And if they agree, then yeah, I'll put that on their drum, but it has to be from my own concept because they'll guide that as well. And then there's sometimes I don't get a message that I can consciously visualize what symbolism to use. And for whatever reason that is. And then for every drum, I lay out an altar, and I have symbols from all over the world, and each has a different teaching. So I blindly just sort of pick here, 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 and lay it all out around the drum frame and the hide that I'm working on. And then after, and I take a picture of it so I can, keep it in my mind, and I look at, okay, what items on the altar are telling me the symbols that need to be on the drum. And there could be 20 items on the altar, but only 4 of the symbols are going to go on the drum. So I have to look at it and say, which one jumps out at me the most? What has the strongest presence? And then how are they going to come together to create the symbolism and the teachings on the drum? So everybody says, how long does it take you to make a drum? Well, it's taken me a lifetime to learn to tap into this frequencies and listening to the messages and then using the talents that I've honed for 50 years of painting those symbols onto the drum. And so that's basically the concept. And then my drums, I have hundreds of them that I have created. Each one is one of a kind, never to be created again because it's for that individual person. And they are in 12 countries around the world, as far south of Australia and as far north as Iceland and Greenland. So they're all over the place, and as far Europe and all over North America and Central America, South America. So people find me and say, I think it's time for my drum. I'm getting a message, it's time. So then we go from there. So I'm going to open up with my drum first, just to do a little drum song for you. And then I'll explain the symbolism that I was guided to share and why. So this is my Siberian teardrop. My camera wants to keep zooming in and out. So this is my Siberian teardrop drum. I better plug in my external mic so that the sound doesn't crash. And see if it's on. Okay. Isn't. I don't understand what it's doing. Oh, I forgot to look at my computer. It says allow. Okay, now it's on. You can tell I'm a grandmother or a great grandmother. I don't know nothing about this computer stuff. All right, so I will get back so that I don't crash the sound. That's why it's handy.
And please mute yourself all. Chris, maybe mute yourself as well, please. Otherwise we have an echo and we don't hear properly. Please mute yourself. Thank you. Oh.
Trying to get back into the screen. Well, turn it this way. All right, there. Okay. Now, the other thing I forgot to mention was that the rare thing that I do is infuse the person's drum with a volunteer soul so that each drum has an awakened soul, and it's usually one of your ancestors or spirit guides. It says, I will be the soul of her drum or his drum, and I will help guide her and teach her. So, and I call in with my voice the soul of the ancestor to come into the drum and awaken it with that soul. Then when you receive it, the drum will be your teacher. The ancestor or the spirit guide that lives in your drum becomes your teacher and guides you and gives you strength and gives you courage. Now, this particular shape is called a Siberian teardrop. Why does it do that? And yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. Crazy, it's making me dizzy. So anyway, this is let's go to the photograph. It'll be easier. Smaller. Yeah. So this is the tree of life, and that's what my drum is my family tree. But I instead of making it looking like a regular tree, I made it look like the energy of the tree. So the branches and the root system is all in the blue, like the glowing energy that you see around plants that usually only insects and birds can see, but on occasion we can see it with our own eyes if we're just in the right frequency, and we can see that glow come from the plant itself. So this is what this tree of life has. It's the glowing blue of its energy. At the base of the tree and the roots, this here little area represents the ocean. And why I put the ocean at the roots of this tree is because my roots go back to Lemuria. And so this ocean represents the ocean around the Hawaiian Islands, where it is said that the island of Mu, or Lemuria, sunk many thousands of years ago. I remember being there. I remember living there. I remember being the librarian, not of the Akashic records, which they claim that the Lemurians hold. They held the records of the universe. So not just, they have all the Akashic records and all the human experiences listed in this library, but they also have listed our experiences and connections to other dimensions and other solar systems and other universes. They're all stored in this library, which and we'll get to how it's stored and how we download it, because that is on Suzanne's drum, because they are connected. So this represents Lemuria down in the depth and my ancient roots as a Lemurian. And then as I travel up to the center of the tree trunk, there's this knothole, but represents a crater. Now, some of my ancestors are from Mongolia and Siberia and the Great Plains of Eastern Europe. And there's many craters across the Great Plains that are considered sacred spots, sacred portholes where you can go to the other side. So they will do ceremonies around these craters, and they hold them in high regard. So when I focus on my Eastern European ancestors, my spirit goes down into the earth and through the ley lines and connects with my ancestors through the Eastern European craters. And they come forth in their deep toned voices and stomping and chanting. And then as we move up the tree, and if we look real close, here's a pyramid. And that pyramid represents the Sun Pyramid in the Valley of the Pyramids in Bosnia. And I was recruited by an elder in Bavaria there to go to join him in Bosnia and do a ceremony at the top of the Sun Pyramid. This was back in 2020. We were supposed to do that. He recruited me in 2019 or 18. I guess it was 18, and said, okay, we'll do it in 2020. And he went ahead to set up the apartment and get the guides and make sure everything is in alignment and do a sort of a search of the pyramids and the valley of the pyramids to get the kind of positioning and feel the energy. And then while he was in the Sun Pyramid, he picked up a crystal. And he gave it to me when I come back to Bavaria. And he says, okay, this crystal's from the Sun Pyramid. You need to take it to Hawaii and reconnect the energies of Lemuria and Atlantis. Because, and the research that he was doing and the feeling was that the pyramids of Bosnia they're energetically connected to the lost civilization of Atlantis. And through my research and understanding, and it could be wrong, but everybody has their perception of how things are lined up, that Atlantis and Lemuria are connected energetically. Lemurians were the mind, were the intuitive, the psychic, and they could control things through manifesting with their mind and their energy and using green energy and not destructive technology. And they were the feminine energy of their civilization. And then I did some more research, and there was some perceptions. I thought, well, it could be true. Like any of these researches, it's all, conjecture, of course. But they said that the Atlanteans were descendants of the Lemurians. And I'm going, well, feels true. They're more into the masculine side of the thing. They're more into the technology, and they themselves used crystals and teachings to activate their systems. They're very high intellectual, technological systems until they got destroyed. I don't know if they were destroyed on purpose or they destroyed themselves, but I did a lot of research about the Great Flood that has taken out a lot of civilizations around the world about 13,000 years ago. So it may have been that, but we don't know because no one has ever actually been able to find the location of lost Atlantis. Now, when we get to Suzanne's drum, there's some hints there we'll discuss about that. The rainbow on the back of the drum. Well, one of the modalities that I do when I travel the world, and I don't go looking for it, but I end up in places where, people will say, would you come and do a crossing over ceremony? And so this rainbow represents the rainbow bridge, the bridge to the other side, the bridge to, the veil, the crossing over. And often I hear people say, I am the gatekeeper of the Rainbow Bridge. I hold the door of the Rainbow Bridge. But my first experience of it, and which has continued ever since, is that I am the Rainbow Bridge. Because the lost souls will come in through my back and out through my heart, cleansed, and into the light. So I am the Rainbow Bridge as they cross through me into the light. And so I get to experience that all over the world with different souls that are ready to go home. Not all are ready. Some still are processing their death. But those who are ready come to me, and I just call out as I'm chanting, those who can see my light, those who can hear my voice, come to me from across time and space. When I did this ceremony in Belgium at Flanders Field, and I was at the Canadian trenches, and I was taking back to the sounds of war, of the Canadian soldiers as they were dying in the trenches, and I called the spirits, and it was such a extremely powerful moment because I don't differentiate across time and space. So not just the Canadians showed up. Every soul within the vicinity of my sound and light, they all showed up. Whoop. Oh. Come on. That was my phone going off. Anyway, there we go. Shut her down. So that's the Rainbow Bridge, and that's how how I'm connected to the Rainbow Bridge. And I believe possibly the reason how and why is because at birth I died. And I was near death for 7 days. And as they did a complete blood transfusion as an experiment to save my life. as an Rh negative baby. And it worked, but it kept me in that place in between this physical world on Earth and then the fifth dimension on the other side, because I have already I'm sort of 1 foot in each dimension, so that's how I'm able to connect to the spirit and get the messages from the other side. Now the polar bear fur at the top represents the polar bear, the energy bear, and I walk with bear energy, the protector, the survivor, the strength of the bear. And below, I have raven feathers and horsehair. These are all of the symbols of the spirit and the animals that guide my journey. And, oh yeah, and inside, well, I can't tell if you can see it or not. Oh, is snakeskin. It's shedding, so no snakes were harmed. But it's the shedding of my daughter's pet snake that she had for a few years, a boa constrictor. So I put that on the inside of the drum it's about transformation, because that symbolism is about releasing old patterns and growing into a new reality. And so that's me doing over and over and over again, constantly shifting and shifting and shifting and shifting. And we do this till we die. We just keep shifting I mean, there's no I'm done. I used to think that, though. And then and a lot of the posts I would put on Facebook is, yeah, I'm done. And then I had to go back and correct it. I said, okay, I'm done for now. Until I get thrown into that spiral again and go, whoa, are you done yet? No, I guess I'm not done. So that is my Siberian drum. And then I met Suzanne almost 3 years ago now. Is it 2 years or 3 years now? I lose track.
2 years, 24.
I met Suzanne in Hawaii, and I'll let her tell that part of the story. And then a year or so later, she ordered her drum, and and I didn't want to make Siberian drums anymore because I was separated from my partner, who was a builder, and he was the one who helping making my Siberian drums. And I didn't have him anymore, so I had to figure out a way of making one for Suzanne, thinking, okay, this is the last Siberian drum because I really don't know what I'm doing, and I hope it works out. So I did it, and then I'm going, what symbol? And then I realized that connection in Hawaii, I connected me to Suzanne, which connected me to Bosnia, and her and I's connection. We're still discovering it. It's still uncovering itself because there's some past there we haven't really delved into yet, have we? Other than we trust each other and we just go, okay, let's have some fun. So Suzanne, you want to bring your drum forward. And hers is called, oh yeah, I did give you the name of mine. Mine's called Ancestral Roots Connect. And then Suzanne's drum says Reconnecting World Energies. Now, I'll explain some of the symbolism and why I chose it, and then I'll let Suzanne explain why that symbolism is important to her. Because I just sort of, okay, this is what I got. Is this it? Is this correct? I don't know. Only you can know that. So there's at the bottom there, you'll see a skull, and it's representative of the lapis lazuli skull, and it's in the shape of a blue being. Now, as I said, when I was in Lemuria, the Lemurians were blue beings. So that connects me to the blue beings, connects me to Lemuria, and then Suzanne is connected to the crystal skulls. So I thought, okay, there's a connection there. I'll let her tell you about her connection to the crystal skulls. Now, if you want to go and talk about that, Suzanne, and why it was important for that to be on there.
Yeah, there are two connections, and I was very surprised when you chose the crystal skull or the blue skull because I think I didn't tell you before that. I didn't really tell you about it. And you painted that on my drum. And two connections. The first connection is to the Arcturians, which are also the blue beings. The Arcturians whom I follow since 2000, actually, the year 2000. And I'm very closely associated with the Arcturians. And I went in 2022, I went to Hawaii to learn the crystal skull method, which is a method to align you um, and uh, and enhance the feeling in you, or enhance that your skull is becoming actually a crystal skull. So both of these aspects connect with this blue head.
I love it when I guess right. So
Yeah.
then, okay, now we have. Oh yeah, then they did say, um, just as a as a side note, that it is said that Atlantis had 12 ancient temples, each containing a skillfully crafted crystal skull in the shape of a human skull. And these crystal skulls served many functions and were incredibly powerful. And they were repositories for information and were used to generate energy. So that was the backstory of the crystal skull connecting to Atlantis. And which brings me to the pyramid. And that's on, yeah, we get closer there, the pyramid there. That's also the Sun Pyramid and its connection to Atlantis. And then, so when I connected to the crystal skull of the Atlanteans, then I knew that Suzanne, who's connected to the blue crystal skull, is obviously also connected to Atlantis and the energy. Now, the energy portrayed in the back of coming from the top of the pyramid was actually photographed with a special camera that photographs energy, and and it demonstrates the power of the energy that's coming out of the top of that pyramid. And this is a side note about that pyramid as well. It's they're been excavating it for quite a while, because it's been all of the tunnels through the pyramid have been closed off with gravel. So they've been filled in. And the only thing I can think of back then was, like they have nowadays, it's called a stone slinger. I was married to a builder for many years, and so they have this conveyor belt, and you dump the gravel in, and a conveyor belt, and it moves, and it just slings the stone back and forth and fills it up. And I think that's the only way they could have done it, a stone slinger. And this has gone 27,000 years ago. This pyramids were older than the ones in Egypt. So I thought, 27,000 years ago, they had stone slingers. Or something like that. Actually, stone slingers of this generation is probably very primitive compared to what the Atlanteans had. So next on there, oh yeah, it's also said that the legend has portrayed a time when there's going to be a dynamic shift and alter all life, and that the 13 original crystal skulls will come together and activate and usher in emerging new world. And the time is upon us, according to ancient religious systems, prophecies, and indigenous cultures from around the world. It is said to be a catalyst to bring together people from around the world to unify in commonality, to prepare for a higher purpose by simply being in its presence. So the skulls themselves, just being in their presence, they generate energy. And so even though it's painted on the drum, it still has the intention of generating the energy. And this energy is generated out of that pyramid, which is ancient energy from the Atlanteans, which is ancient energy of the Lemurians. Because when we go across to the other side of her drum, you'll see a crystal. And that is a painting of the actual crystal that the elder gave me out of the Sun Pyramid, and instructed me to take it to Hawaii and do a ceremony with it and leave it there. So when I met Suzanne, that was what my mission was in Hawaii, was to take that crystal skull from the Sun Pyramid of Bosnia and the energy of the Atlanteans and reconnect it to the ancient energy of Lemuria. And that crystal is a twin flame crystal, so it's a cluster with two crystals joined together. And when I was at my friend grandmother Susan Santon in Illinois, because between Hawaii and before I went to Bavaria, I had a month over in Illinois, and she says, "Well, that's a twin flame crystal. Who's the twin flames? What twin flames does it represent?" Well, I never stopped to think about that until she asked, and I'm going, "The twin flames of Atlanteans and Lemurians. We've reconnected." And so when I was in Hawaii and I asked Harry Jim, the Hawaiian elder and mentor and kahuna, because he knew the story, and I said, "Where should I do the ceremony for this crystal and reconnect Atlantis to Lemuria?" Only you would know the specific energy that is required for this and the most favorable spot. And he suggested we were going to be doing our final ceremony at the end of his, I guess it was a week seminar. And it was it was on the Big Island, and it's called the City of Refuge. And the City of Refuge is it's got a lava stone wall built in this lagoon, and the stone wall is where the bones of 4,000 men and women are buried who died in an ancient battle, caught by the sea. And that's another story. But anyway, I went to the wall, and as I'm on my way to the wall, two of the young ladies were in our group. They had picked some plumeria flowers, and so they gave me a plumeria flower. And they all put them in their hair, and I tried to put it in my hair, and it just kept falling out and kept falling out. I said, "Okay, it doesn't want to be in my hair. I don't know where it wants to be." But I got a crystal in one hand and the plumeria flower in the other, and I'm going, "Oh, masculine. The crystal's masculine. The plumerian is feminine. They want to go to the wall together." So I did a ceremony, and I put the crystal and the plumeria blossom in the wall of the City of Refuge in Hawaii. So I would like Suzanne to tap into that energy on there and her connection to that little story of Atlantis and Lemuria and Hawaii and the flower and the crystal.
Well, it was interesting because the flower, it has five leaves, and and you mentioned, or you named my drum Connecting the Worlds. And shortly after I was in Hawaii, I traveled to Laos, and I saw this symbol wherever I went. And this is the symbol for the Laos airline. They have that very big painted on their airlines. And I think I'm just following that symbol and connecting whatever there is to connect. Yeah. So that symbol presents the connection, the reconnection of the worlds, which you mentioned as the main topic for my drum.
And you've been doing a lot of that, traveling around the world and being involved in sacred ceremonies and different cultures and different modalities.
Yeah, I was called to go to Egypt last year in October, and I stood at the Sphinx, and I was wondering what I'm supposed to do, and then I suddenly saw myself chanting and making this figure of eight between the Sphinx and Egypt and Hawaii. And I had no idea why I did that at the time. I was just there and meditating and drawing these figures of eights. And only later did I become aware that this is again the coming together of the twin flames, the two parts of the twin flames. And before that, I would have never thought about connecting the Sphinx with Hawaii. So, and they also say that below the Sphinx you have a library with all the stories. So, yeah. Connecting the worlds, as you said. And you know
Yeah.
what? I didn't realize that again. I didn't realize that until like 2 weeks ago when you showed me, the cards, and you showed me beneath the cards is the title or the main topic for your cards, and only then did I realize, okay, this is actually what it means. So it's unfolding. It's still unfolding.
It'll keep unfolding. Now, there's this backstory about this too. Is again, I was at Grandmother Susan's on the Mississippi River in Illinois, and she's the one who asked about the twin flames. And I'm going, well, Lemuria or the Lemurians and the Atlanteans. That's what I can figure out. And she says, oh well. She said, did you realize where we are right now here in Nauvoo is the halfway point between Lemuria and Atlantis? I'm going, oh, really? So I got the map out and I did not the okay, what's it called when it's going horizontal? The lines around the Earth. I got a blank here. The vertical lines, longitude, latitude. Okay, latitude. Longitude means long. Okay, I looked at the latitude of where Nauvoo is, and then I looked at the latitude of the Hawaiian Islands. I said, holy, they're practically right on par. I mean, things shift over thousands of years, like continents drift. And I said, but it was practically right on par. So I thought, well, how far, as the crow flies, as we say here in Canada, is it from Nauvoo to Hawaii? How many kilometers is that on that latitude? Okay, it's that many kilometers. I said, okay, well, let's stay on that latitude, and with the same number of kilometers, where does it end up? Where's Atlantis? It's in the desert in Egypt. If that rings true. I mean, we're only guessing here, but it just feels right. And then when I mentioned that in Bavaria last spring to someone who had just been to Egypt and said, "Oh yeah, I know. I was in Egypt exploring the ancient lost Atlantis connection." I'm going. So I'm not the only one that thinks that. Okay, well, all right, we're on the same ship. So let me see what else. Okay, now the middle section. That was a whole. I said, okay, something in the middle, and I kept getting this vision in my mind, and I couldn't remember what it's called, and I've done a teaching around it before, and I look it up and I go, oh, it's a gyroscope. Okay, so I did and then all of a sudden the picture that I liked was the gyroscope at rest, not all movement, but at rest. And so this is what I said to Suzanne. I said, I'm getting a gyroscope at rest. And then in the center, I think that was your suggestion that you would like to see in the center. I said, that fits. So you explain your connection to the gyroscope and what's in the center, the Sri Yantra?
Sri Yantra, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
A Sri Yantra, a Sri Yantra is a sacred geometry, one of the oldest sacred geometries. It represents the sound Om, and it consists of 9 pyramids. And the Sri Yantra is the basis of the crystal skull method, which I learned. So what you basically do, what I do in a crystal skull method is that I'm drawing the Sri Yantra in and around your energy body so that your body can align. And and you did a wonderful job because it's very delicate, and a lot of times it's done not done correctly, because the fifth or the ninth pyramid pointing downwards is really a very important one. It has all to do with your pineal gland. It's basically you build all these pyramids starting actually at the pineal gland, so that the pineal gland gets aligned and then everything else gets aligned as well. And it took me a while actually to understand why you drew a gyroscope which was not moving. And I'm still working on this because I think that is one of the most important challenges for me at the moment, and the strongest calling, to really be still and present and not move. Because yeah, because only then, yeah, only in that presence, the frequencies can expand in a clear and orderly manner. It's just becoming clear, actually, at yeah.
So it's always a pleasant surprise when these ideas come in, and I go, "This is what I'm getting." Does that ring for you at all? Like, does that even come close? And then going, "Oh my God!" Oh, good, good. I'll paint that then. So I always check first and going, "Is this your story?" That's what they're telling me. Your ancestors are telling me this about you. So you tell me if I got it right or not. Now, down at the bottom, before we go up to the feathers, down at the bottom is the seed of life. And it's at 7 circles, starting with a center circle, and then 6 circles all around it. And the seed of life is the beginning of the flower of life, which just, you take that first set of 7 circles and you just keep adding and adding and adding and adding, and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is the beginning of the flower of life. It's the seed. Now you'll see a triangle painted in the middle there, and just the lines, and there's 3 dots there. And what that triangle represents is the sun pyramid. Okay, it starts at the bottom. The bottom point is the dragon pyramid, because there's a dragon pyramid in Bosnia, and it connects to the sun pyramid and the moon pyramid. So I put that in the seed of life, and we'll just see how that seeds are, because we sort of have it loosely on our bucket list that maybe we still need to go to Bosnia and do that ceremony. So this is the seed is being planted, and the idea is being planted. And if we are supposed to be there, I mean, I didn't get to go because of COVID. All travel was shut down and everything was canceled, and then for the next 3 years. So it never happened. So I don't know if this making of these drums was what I needed to do and that's all I needed to do, or if we actually still need to go there. But if we are, Spirit will send us the message and make it possible, and then we will follow through on that. Okay, so the feathers at the top are 2 eagle feathers. The brown and white one is eagle feather gifted to me 10 years ago, and it's about 150 years old, and it was given to me by a professor at Carleton University in Ottawa, and it was given to him by a Lakota Sundance chief because of his spiritual connection to the universe. And then when I had this professor in my seminar, him and his wife, and I was talking about my spiritual mentors, one of which is Sitting Bull. And Sitting Bull came to me about 11 years ago. And when I told him the story, he was so moved by it. It was a 2-day seminar. The next day when he showed up, he brought this feather. And he said, "This, I am told that by the Lakota Sundance chief who gifted them this feather, that it once belonged to Sitting Bull. And he felt that I should have it because of my connection, because Sitting Bull guides me, talks to me, and talks through me. And it has the feeling of power." Now, I was in a sweat lodge ceremony in Belgium with a young man who'd been to 10 Sundance in North America, and actually he was introduced to me by the elder who kind of got me connected to Sitting Bull. And so he said, "You need to go and talk to Philip because you and him both have a connection to Sitting Bull." So I'm in Belgium, and it turned out this other fellow had only lived an hour from my girlfriend's house. So we got together, had a sweat lodge. And then during the sweat lodge, Sitting Bull came through and thanked him for his ceremony and facilitating, and that he did a good job because he was singing in the Lakota songs and he was singing in the Lakota language, and it was a pure Lakota ceremony. And Sitting Bull came through and said, thank you. And so afterwards at the feast, Philip gave me the white eagle feather. And he says, this one belongs to you as well, to go with Sitting Bull's feather. So I call them power and purification. The white is the feminine and the Sitting Bull is the masculine, and they go together as power and purification. And so they travel with me everywhere I go. And on special occasions and special drums, they get to be on the drum as well. So that's why the 2 eagle feathers on there. So I would like Suzanne to maybe share how that has affected her and her thinking and her insights and perceptions.
I remember when I had a session with you in Bavaria 2 years ago. You had the 2 feathers on the altar in the center of the group, and you were talking about the 2 feathers. And I remember when I had the session, you gave me that feather, and I started to cry, and I had no idea why. And then you said, Sitting Bull is here, and he wants to give you a message, and he gave me a message. So yeah, there is a connection there, and so yeah, thank you.
Yeah, he shows up when there are people who are connected to him. Like, he doesn't hang around me all the time, but when I'm with someone who has a special affiliation with him, connection to him, then he'll show up with a message or a hug. And I remember I was in Switzerland a few years ago, and they knew about the Sitting Bull feather, and it was just after that sweat lodge in Belgium, and I went on to Switzerland, and in the sweat lodge, he indicated to me that, because I always wondered, why me? What connection do I have to you that you would come to me? And so at the sweat lodge, when Sitting Bull showed up in the sweat lodge, he indicated to me that we were connected through the bloodline. I thought, how can that be? I have no connection to the Lakota. And so then I'm in Switzerland, and the woman there, she knew about my connection to Sitting Bull, and she wanted to meet him. And I said, well, that's not up to me. It's up to him whether he wants to meet you. So there was company for supper, and he didn't want to meet with company. But after the company left, and I was staying overnight to catch an early plane, and after the company left, he showed up, and I said, oh, he's here. He wants to meet you. So we stand holding hands face to face, and when I channel, sometimes I channel verbally and they'll speak through me, or sometimes their face will appear as an energetic face over top of my face. I mean, I can have beards and mustaches and thick eyebrows, over top of my face like a watery image. And she's standing there holding my hands, and she says, oh, I can see his face over top of your face. And I said, okay, well, that's good. So she's looking at his face and feeling his energy, and then my face shifted. She said, she's keeping track. I'm just in a trance. She said, your face shifted to his grandmother. And I'm going, oh, well, that message was for me. That's what he was talking about when we were related through the family line. Because I found out through some professor elder in Chicago, who he's close friends now for 11 years, told me the story that Sitting Bull was actually Ojibwe. My mother's side of the family are actually Ojibwe. And that Sitting Bull, as a 7-year-old, was stolen by the Lakotas. Because apparently, according to the story, is that the chief who had him stolen only had daughters, and he needed a son to take over for him, and stole him and raised him as Lakota. And I got thinking afterwards, the Lakota actually used to live closer to the Ojibwe. They used to live closer to the Great Lakes, and were according to stories, driven away by the Ojibwe people. So I have a feeling that there's actually a blood relation between that Lakota chief and the Ojibwe son. Family, someone's married into this family, and there's actually a blood relation. So I don't know anything that for sure. I'm just surmising, trying to think logically and why people would do this. And there's always a logic reason. And it makes sense to me. I don't know that it's true or not, but in my mind, that's the feeling that I get. So he does come through for different people who he feels a connection to. Now, at the top, we have the Seven Sisters, the Pleiades star system. And the Pleiades star system, the Seven Sisters, is supposedly the gateway home to the other side. I mean, when we're leaving from the North American hemisphere, we tend to go to the Seven Sisters before we head off to our direction of home, whichever direction home happens to be. And in the southern hemisphere, it's the Southern Cross. It also takes them to whatever place they need to be. So according to research that I have done, the Seven Sisters is also connected to Lemurians. So that's why the Seven Sisters is in there as part of the above and so below kind of routine. We have the crystal skull and below, and we have the Seven Sisters in the above. So tell us, Suzanne, how that affects or resonates with you, the Seven Sisters.
That's a really interesting question for me because actually, the first time when I went to Hawaii, I did a meditation. I did a dream journey with my shaman teacher there. It was Lynn Andrews, the bestseller woman who wrote The Medicine Woman and other books. I don't know whether you know her, but and she had us lie down, beneath this wonderful starry night. And she all put us in a trance, and we ended up in the Pleiadians. So, and that was the first time ever that I had any contact with any star nation. So, and I just only remember now. So, thank you, Gail.
I delve into the recesses of your mind
Yeah.
and plant seeds like the seed of life to awaken when they're supposed to awaken. Often, people will find, a year or two later and just, oh, I never even noticed that on there. I'm going, well, I never noticed it either. That message was for you when you're ready to see it. I just blindly put it in there without even knowing that I put it there. And that happens a lot too. So, because when I'm painting and creating, I'm in trance. I'm not even aware of where I am or who I am or what I'm doing. So those are the first two drums on our selection. And that's the reason I shared these first two is because I wanted people to get to know Suzanne and I, because we started the school Academy of Timeless Wisdom, which we do an 11-month program, and we both share our wisdom and experiences and our training together and make this powerful platform for people to awaken to themselves and to release old patterns and to raise their frequency, and all the things, whatever it is that they need to do will show up. And so this way, the drums basically explain who we are and our modalities and our energies and how we have combined them. They're linked together across the world. So now I open it up to questions and comments.
I just want to say that sitting here on my screen between you, Gail, and you, Suzanne, there are so many things in your stories that overlap with my own journey. And it's such an honor to be here with you both. And I love you dearly. Thank you. I don't really have a question. Yeah, I don't think I have a question, but I'm just really soaking it all in. Thank
And
you.
that's why we kind of decided to make this deck of cards because the symbolism is even though it's specific for us, it also connects to parts of you, and not all of it, but some of it. And
Right.
so by pulling a card, something on that card is going to connect with you, and that's why it gets pulled. It's like any tarot card, it's going to have a different meaning for different people depending on where they're at and what they believe in.
I look forward to getting a deck of those cards.
Well, I'm not going to publish them because I don't have the money for that kind of stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm going to be doing readings from here on Zoom, because we looked into I have another deck of cards that I did a couple of years ago, and we looked into publishing, and it's going to be thousands of dollars. So we don't have the market or the ability to mass sell. I mean, I work from home. I don't have a
well,
store.
We're working
Huh?
on
I
that.
would,
We are working on that, Gail.
Yeah, yeah, we're working on that. I mean, things can change overnight.
they can, and I want to share with you what's changing overnight. Two young men have spent millions of dollars on a platform that they want to gift to the world through the Global Grandmothers. And we could have it within 30 days, and it will be everything we ever imagined for the directory and the academy and the marketplace and the social media connections and more. And I'm just really excited that we've been meeting with them, and they say that we could have it live within 30 days.
Wow.
So we're holding. We're
Okay.
holding.
We're all doing our part in different parts of the world, and
Yeah.
creating our own puzzle pieces, and then we'll put all those pieces together to create the bigger picture.
Yeah,
And
and
we
it's
don't know
not
what
that
the bigger
it's
picture even looks like yet because we're not provided with the box.
right. And this isn't just for the grandmothers. This is like through the grandmothers for the world, for
Mm.
everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And we need to get this message out because
Mhm.
it's needed right now. I mean, people are in dire straits emotionally and physically, and they need hope
Mhm.
because it's hope that will help them rise up from their own situation and take action.
Right.
Because when we're hopeless, we're hopeless. And we can't seem to think straight. We can't do anything straight. All we're buried in our own hopelessness. I mean,
Yeah,
when
our
I've been
heads
traveling
hang
to
down.
Europe, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
hopeless. And so if by creating hope, they can build on that, whatever that hope is,
Yeah.
and it's wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Keep
Thanks.
me in touch.
Yeah. Oh, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. I also had, there was a lot of resonance and connection with the symbolism, especially the one around stillness, to vibrate at the highest frequency. That's actually been a really strong message for me
Hmm.
of late. So, yeah, beautiful. And yeah, just so much more too. So, yeah, it's a really beautiful group here, and thank you so much I've learned so much, and also, yeah, so many things that I've been learning about over the last couple of years when I had, um, a big shift towards more my truer self, Um, so much of what I've been learning about came up just today. So yeah, so it's
Yeah,
really
that's the
beautiful to be around people who actually talk about this stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no kidding. We meet a lot of people that are just touching the surface and not going deep because there's a lot of self-reflection in that depths. And we don't always like the reflection that we're seeing. So I don't want to go there. I don't like that one. But we have to. We have to look at our dark sides and understand it in order to shift it. Understand why, understand what it's teaching us, understand that it's natural because we are balanced in both dark and light. And so as long as we remember the balance, the middle. I remember my Andean teacher, his first talk that I went to, he talked about dark and light, and and he had the perfect description. He said, a lot of people call it dark energy and light energy, or negative and positive, bad and good. He said, instead of thinking of these opposite terms, he said, think of it as hot and cold. Neither one is bad, neither one is good. They're both equal, but they're different. And what we in our lives are trying to find on that line of hot and cold, where we fit in comfortable warmth. And that will adjust as our days go by. Sometimes we're a little on the hot side, sometimes we're a little on the cold side, and we just keep adjusting. Like in yoga, adjust and readjust and adjust and readjust. And we're doing that with our hot and cold. And it's not bad, not good, it's just different. I loved his example. It just made more sense.
That's actually so beautifully helpful right now.
I
Thank
know,
you.
right? Like, well, I'm a little on the cold side. Okay, well, I need to warm up, or I'm a little on the hot side. Okay, I need to cool down. Just a bit.
And being free of judgment. Oh, so
Yes,
important.
yes. Judgment and doubt. The doubt is the big thing that we self doubt and self loathing. Wow.
I've heard that doubt, you only doubt what's true. You never doubt what's false. So if you're doubting, know that there's something true there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, some of the doubt that comes in is doubting ourselves. I don't have the ability. I'm not smart enough to do this. I don't have the energy to do this, and so I don't think I can do this. Um, I think in those cases we need to kind of say, okay, rise above the doubt. I may fail, but I'm going to give it a shot. And if I fail, I'll probably learn something from that. And it's like, me carrying a ladder to go set up an art display a month ago. And I end up wrecking my back for well over a month. And I'm going, it taught me a valuable lesson. Like, I thought I could do this. I didn't doubt myself for a minute, and I should have. Are you ready to carry heavy ladders? Because after your surgeries and stuff like that? No, you're not ready. Well, I can do this. Oh, I should have listened to my doubt. So it's a complex thing. Christiana, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Christiane, kannst du uns hören? I think she might have problems with her audio. Christiane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
her visual and audio not working.
not working, unfortunately.
Technology.
Technology.
It's a blessing and a curse. Well, that's pretty much it for today. If there's no more, let's see if there's anything more on there.
We'd love to do that every month, and you're working on completing all the cards. So next time when we do that, we'll just pull a card for
Yeah.
someone or for the whole group, and then
Yeah.
we'll see what comes up with the symbols and the images and the stories, especially the
Yeah.
stories.
And the thing is too, like not all the drums and messages are as long as Suzanne's and mine. Ours is complicated and complex and covers many things. And some of them, I had to look at it and I'm going, I need to add to that story. That's a little short. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
that's
yeah,
very
this has
fun.
been an amazing time together. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. And I would love to drum on my drum, but because I'm near the Atlantic Ocean, it's so flappy, it doesn't make any sound. I can only, like, with my fingertips, do a little bit of this so that you might get a little bit of the vibration of it for maybe for the end. Let me see. I'll try maybe. Is it possible to hear something?
Yeah.
Thank you. There's a goodbye drumming.
Yeah. It reminds me when I was staying at Grandmother Susan's in Illinois, she had 6 outdoor cats and she had a metal roof and they loved to get up there in the middle of the night and race across the roof, back and forth, and that's what it sounded like.
Bravo!
A herd of cats.
Another meaning.
Yeah. So we welcome you to come back next month. We'll set a date and we'll let everyone know online when we're going to do that, and hope you can join us.
Thank you. Thank you. So good to be with you today. What a joy.